I just ask that y'all remain seated for me while the trolley's in motion. When you're ready to exit the trolley, just remain seated until the trolley comes to a complete stop. As a courtesy to the other guests as well as myself, I ask that you please keep your conversations to a minimum. Also, as a courtesy, I ask that if you have a cell phone, do me a favor, please refrain from talking on it. I'm going to ask that you refrain from smoking cigarettes as well as drinking alcohol. We're leaving the Savannah Visitor Information Center. This visitor center welcomes about 5 million people annually here to the city of Savannah. This visitor center used to be the home for the Central of Georgia Railroad founded in 1858 by William Washington Gordon. Visitor Center now houses the Savannah History Museum. Inside of that museum, you'll find over 250 years of Savannah history within it. You can find a replica of Eli Whitney's cotton gin there in the History Museum. You can find a replica of the SS Savannah, which is the first steamship to sail the Atlantic Ocean. And you can even find a replica of the bench that Forrest Gump sat on doing that movie, Forrest Gump. Part of that movie was filmed in Savannah. The bench that Forrest sat on as he had the chocolates and told his whole life story, there's a replica of that bench on display there in the History Museum. The square in which the bench is located, that's Chippewa Square. We'll come upon it within the tour. If you take a look back over to the left, my left is the side that I'm sitting on, you see that visitor center looks just like an old train station. The last train that came through here was in May of 1971, and it was the Nancy Hanks. The main purpose for founding the railroad here was to transport cotton. The building on the right, it was an old cotton warehouse. That building is now owned by the Savannah College of Art and Design. The college is referred to as SCAD. SCAD was SCAD. They used that building for classrooms as well as studios. There's another building on the right behind this building. It too was an old cotton warehouse, also owned by the college. The majority of that building was beyond repair. The college demolished it. The part that's remaining is now a part of the courtyard for the art museum that the college built. As I make the turn, the art museum is there to the right. So the building in whitewash in color as I pull up as a glass tower in the center of it. That's the art museum the college built. It's a SCAD Museum of Art. Been open now almost 4 years, and it is open to the public. The tannish color building there on the left is also owned by the college. That's one of their dormitories. They built that dormitory on the hotel style. SCAD owns in excess of 60 buildings in the city. They don't have a basic college campus layout. They don't. They own buildings throughout the entire city, not just the historic district. They only built 5 buildings from the ground up, all dormitories. The other buildings, they purchased them and restored. That college has done a lot for historic preservation in the city. Not just historic preservation, but it's also done a lot for the economy here as well. Is this microphone okay for you all? Is it too loud for any of you? Okay, thank y'all so much. We're going to go ahead on and get into the historic district. And before we do that, I'm going to share just a little Georgia history with y'all. In April of the year 1732, King George II of England, he granted a charter to James Edward Oglethorpe along with 20 trustees to establish a new colony. The colony will be the 13th colony. Oglethorpe, well, he handpicked 114 settlers that he wanted to make the journey with him. He chose the people that were honest, that were hardworking, those that wanted a new way of life. They set sail on the ship A-N-A-N-N-E. They arrived right here in Yamacraw, which is soon renamed Savannah on February the 12th, 1733. Once here, Oglethorpe and the settlers had met Tomachichi and the Yamacraw Indians. Tomachichi was the chief of the Yamacraw Indians. He and the Indians, they were a real great help to Oglethorpe and the settlers, such a great help, until Tomachichi is considered to be one of the co-founders of Georgia. Few of the reasons for the founding of the colony was, number one, to aid the poor that were over in England. There were a lot of poor people over in England, some unable to pay their debts. So they were being thrown into debtor's prison. So by establishing the new colony, they were given the opportunity to come here and start a new way of life. This colony was also established to act as a military buffer to protect South Carolina from the Spanish in Florida. And it was also established for agricultural purposes because the climate was very good here. Now, when Oglethorpe planned at this colony over in England, I want y'all to know that this was a pre-planned colony. Oglethorpe knew exactly how he wanted it to be, how he wanted it to even before he arrived here. He planned it out in something like a grid pattern, almost like a checkerboard pattern, like on the inside of those maps that y'all have. And it was to include 24 squares with trust lots for public buildings and churches and tithing lots for private homes. We originally had 24 squares in the city, ended up with 21 because they built 3 buildings over 3 squares. As a matter of fact, this big brownish colored brick building with the large columns from one end to the other, that's the Savannah Civic Center, built in 1971. When they built that Civic Center, they built it over one of the city squares. That square was Elbert Square. It's a law square to never be retrieved. That's where we hold our social and our cultural events. But one of those squares has just been retrieved, so we now have 22 of the original 24 squares. Within the original charter that was drawn up, there were 4 prohibitions, 4 things that the settlers were prohibited from doing or practicing, and I'll discuss them within the tour. We've already entered the historic district. That's a good picture for you right there to the right. The historic district is 2.5 square miles. Our city here in Savannah, county Chatham, population here in Savannah, in the city limits is about 150,000. We had it right on in the Telfair Square. Notice this building here on the left, whitewash in color. That's the side of the building. That's the Jefferson Center for the Arts. The Jefferson Center on the left is an addition to the Telfair Museum, which is over on the other side of the square. Telfair grew itself. Jefferson Center built and opened in 2006. It is a state-of-the-art facility. We have entered Telfair Square. Notice this building on the right. Now, we're in the back of that building. I know it doesn't look like much, but that building is of great significance and importance in the city as well as throughout history. That's the Juliet Gordon Low Federal Building. That's one of the first federal buildings in the U.S. named after a woman. And, of course, Juliet Gordon Low was the founder of the... And the Girl Scouts founded here in Savannah in the year 1912. And I'll talk a little bit more about that within the tour. 2 buildings on the right, they are annexes to the federal building. The square where we are, Telfair Square. Name a very prominent family in the city. Name more so for the father, Edward Telfair. Edward was a delegate to the Continental Congress. He was also governor of the state of Georgia. We're coming upon the home where the Telfair family once lived, and as I said, they were a prominent family. Well, their home was referred to as the Telfair Mansion. They're on the corner on the right there. That's the Telfair Mansion, built in 1818 by William J. Now the Telfair Museum of Arts and Sciences. When the last living member of the family died, her name was Mary Telfair. Miss Mary. She left that house to the Georgia Historical Society with one stipulation, that it be used as an art museum. So it's been used as an art museum since 1886, and it's also the first public art museum in the Southeast. Those of you that are familiar with that book, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, the bird girl statue that's on the cover of that book is on display there in the Telfair Museum. Yes, ma'am, it originally was over in the cemetery, but they had to remove it. It's in the museum for safekeeping. All right, stop number 2 is our very next stop, which is in City Market. Most of the shops in City Market, they don't open until 10, but City Market is our very next stop. When we go to the light, we'll be in City Market as we enter it. This used to be an open-air market. City Market is where the early settlers would come to sell and purchase their goods. There was also slave trade that went on in City Market as well. It's been restored now to a modern-day market. You got restaurants, galleries, boutiques, you name it. You can find it right here in City Market. And then you got here to exit here and stop too in City Market. Good morning. I'm doing good. Come on and join us. You have your trolley tickets, man? Oh. Thank you so much. You just show me each time you board the trolley. Good morning. Take your time forward to the handrail. Thank you for those tickets. I appreciate it. For of you that joined us at the stop, my name is Denise, and I'm going to be your guide, and I'd like to welcome y'all here to Savannah. Just pitch up at stop number 2.
So we'll just stay on the whole time, and the second time we'll get off.
Okay. Okay, well, you can purchase a ticket from over there, and that,
On the next bus stop, on the next trolley.
okay, it'll be through here in about 12 minutes. Now that y'all are seated, just do me a favor and remain seated for me while the trolley is in motion. City Market is also where most of the carriage tours begin as well. Those of you that are familiar with that book, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, red brick building on the left, 2 blue awnings out front is a Club 1. That's where the flamboyant Lady Chablis got her start. The lady appeared in the movie as she made mention of in the book. There's a picture of the lady, first one on the left as I pull up. She even wrote a book herself. The book that she wrote, it was entitled Hiding My Candy. For those of you that don't know, the lady is not a lady. The lady is a female impersonator. Yes, the lady is a man. That's why she was hiding. Y'all got it? There's a picture of the lady right there on the left. She still comes to town. Matter of fact, she'll be there tonight putting on a couple of shows. But that's where you got to start, right there in Club 1. We're on Bay Street now. Bay Street basically got its name for its location. Over on the left, on the other side of those buildings, about 40 feet down, is the Savannah River, as well as River Street. And we'll be over there in just a little bit. As I go through the light, there on the left, big tan-ish color building on the left, that's the Hyatt Regency Hotel. Next to the Hyatt on the left, as I pull up, is our City Hall, built in 1905 at a cost of $200,000. On the very top of City Hall, there's a beautiful, beautiful gold dome. That gold on that dome has been relayered in 14-karat gold, which was originally mounted in Savannah, Georgia. The dome itself is a replica of the dome on top of the Capitol in Atlanta. And just for your information, directly behind City Hall, there's an elevator that takes you down River Street. We're on Bull Street now, First Street in Savannah. Bull Street runs north and south, named after William Bull. William Bull was a man that helped Oglethorpe to survey the colony. Oglethorpe thought it would be befitting to name the first street after Mr. Bull. We're here at Johnson Square, named for Robert Johnson, one of South Carolina's governors. Johnson Square was, still is, known as a social gathering place. Johnson Square is where the early settlers would come to find out, what was going on and happening in the colony. Until this day, there's always something going on in Johnson Square. This is where the town oven was located. To the left in the square where that little water sprinkler is, that little fountain, that's where the town oven was. The town sundial was here. You come here to find out what time of day it was. This is also where the Declaration of Independence was written on August the 10th in 1776 to an enthusiastic crowd of people. In today's time, Johnson Square is known as Banker Square. We've got 10 banks around this one square. Over to the left, in the center of the square, there's a monument there. That monument was dedicated to Major General Nathaniel Greene. Greene was second in command to George Washington. As part of payment for the services that Greene rendered, they gave him Mulberry Grove Plantation. He didn't live on that plantation very long. He went out riding one day without his hat. One use of the climate, he had a heat stroke and he died. As a matter of fact, Greene and his youngest son are buried in that square. And when Greene died, he left behind a widow and 4 small children. Mrs. Greene wanted her kids to be educated, so she hired a tutor, an educated man from Yale University by the name of Eli Whitney. Well, it was there on Mulberry Grove Plantation, which is about 23 miles west of us, whereas Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin in the year 1793. Wright Square is ahead of us. Wright Square was named for Sir James Wright, our third and our last royal governor. In the center of that square, there is a monument, which is dedicated to William Washington Gordon. Gordon was the president and founder of the Central of Georgia Railroad. He was most famous for being the grandfather of Juliet Gordon Lowe, the founder of the Girl Scouts. Beautiful building on the right. It is undergoing renovations. Dates back to 1899, built from Georgia marble. At the very top of that building, there's some medallions with different colors of marble. That's our federal courthouse as well as our former post office. As a matter of fact, that's the Tomachichi United States Federal Courthouse. Y'all remember who Tomachichi was? Those of you that started out with me, you should remember I told you.
It's too early.
Very good. Who said that? That's your honey? Give him a big sugar for me. Very good. Very good. Over to the left, in the far left-hand corner of the square, there's a big boulder, a big rock. Has a plaque on the front of it. That boulder was dedicated to Tomachichi, chief of the Yamacraw Indians. Some of you weren't on board when I made mention of it, but most of you were. We headed over to stop 3, which is over at the birthplace of Juliet Gordon Lowe, founder of the Girl Scouts. Do we have any Girl Scouts on board? Former Girl Scouts, once a Girl Scout, always a Girl Scout. Let's give it up for the Girl Scouts. Where does country be without the daisies, the campfire girls, and brownies, and the Girl Scouts? We wouldn't have those cookies, would we? All right, now, ladies, listen up. We got to give it up for the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts. We can't leave them out. Got to reference them. They were first. That's why the Girl Scouts came about, because of the Boy Scouts. Let's give it up. Woo! All right, that's everybody. Now take a look to the left on me, on the other side of the median, and notice that building there, whitewash in color, where the flags are. That's the Ballard Stone Inn. It's a historic inn. Building itself dates back to 1838. It's actually the first bed and breakfast inn in the city. And that's also where Kevin Spacey stayed when they came here to film that movie Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. We're going to make the turn to go back around, get another view, and that's where stop number 3 is. My 4 guests that sit behind me. Y'all going around for a little bit? The 4 of you. You see where the rest of the guests on the other side? When we get to the next stop, slide over. That's a good side for you. Okay? Well, you got sights on both sides, but most of them on that right. Most of them, all right? Okay. To the right at the end of the median, at the end of that median, there's a big bell, which is our old city fire bell. His name is Big Duke. Big Duke was rung through the time of a fire. He weighs 5,500 pounds. A lot of people don't know it, but Savannah had the first motorized fire department in the nation, motorized, which was established in the year 1911. There to the right is our old city fire bell. Back over to the right, get another view of the Ballard Stone. As I said, it is a historic inn. Building itself dated back 1838. First bed and breakfast inn in the city of Savannah. We headed on over to stop 3, which is over at the birthplace of Juliet Gordon Lowe, the founder of the Girl Scouts. Good morning, girls.
Good morning.
Good morning. Troop number.
474.
Let's give up a troop number 474. Woo! All right. Let me tell you a little bit about that house. You want me to you move it up or you exit it? This is stop number 3. And you take your time.
Okay, I'm once again.
The bench, the square to the left. The next square, Chippewa. Now you remember I told you where the replica of the bench is? Okay, because it's not there. Okay. This house here on the right, won't you ladies get off of that stripping? You want that strip, get off of that stripping. Don't laugh, it obstructs your view, I don't like it. Come right here, either back there, there you go. That house is undergoing major restoration. That was a home at one time of William Washington Gordon. Thank you, young lady, I appreciate that.